Lux Ashe Control. So this is one of the control decks you can find up on my website. I like this one a lot. Lux is a really powerful piece of top end / control finisher. 4/5 for 6 with barrier. So she often stalls the board the turn she comes into play because she doesn't take a hit the first time she would take damage in a turn. And when she's seen you cast 6+ mana worth of spells, she levels up and creates a final spark in her hand, which helps us control the board. So this deals 4 damage to an enemy, and it has overwhelm, so excess damage gets dealt from what you're targeting to your opponent's dome, so she can help burn them out. Her leveled mode continues to make final sparks every single time you play 6+ mana worth of spells in a turn. And then our second champion in this deck is Ashe. And Ashe is a card that really helps us turn the corner hard and fast when we're ready to win the game. So Ashe frostbites the strongest enemy every time she attacks. And then she levels up when you frostbitten 5+ enemies. And then her leveled mode says enemies with 0 power can't block. So what frequently happens is we use our cheap frostbite effects and interactive units to keep the board in check. And then eventually, like turns like 7, 8, 9, we'll have a leveled Ashe and a board full of units, and we'll get to attack, frostbite down a bunch of our opponent's board, and make them not be able to block us. Now, things like Harsh Winds are exceptionally powerful in this archetype because not only does this frostbite 2 things for Ashe at burst speed, but this is also a 6 mana burst speed spell for leveling Lux and generating future final sparks. Remembrance levels up Lux, generates final sparks. The bottom end of our deck is a bunch of cheap units such as Iceveil Archer, Rhymefang Wolf, Tavern Keeper to help keep us alive. Vanguard Sergeant might seem like a little bit of an odd one in my mid-range control deck, but it's notably just a 3/3 for 3 that plays to the board very cheaply, and it generates a 6 mana spell. And while this spell isn't super exciting in our deck, it's another way for us to trigger final sparks, and this can be beneficial in pushing that last burst of damage on the turn we attack with an Ashe, making our things largely unblockable. So let's go ahead and dive on into some games here with this, and see what we've got going on. See how it feels. It's been a hot second since we played. You did try it. You had to. That's really funny. I can't remember the last time we played against Lux Ashe and we queued up with it. We hit a mirror. Yeah, I think Forward Animosity is a super reasonable card. Like I said, we're largely playing it because it's just a 3/3 that makes a 6 mana spell for Lux, but it's also just like a fine card. One thing I forgot to mention in the deck tech is that Babbling Berg always draws a 5+ power unit, and Ashe is our only 5+ power unit here. So Babbling Berg always draws us Ashe unless Lux is leveled. I knew we were bound to forget to change the scene at some point. I'm gonna blame the person in chat that made a lazy card recommendation that I had to type a command in for. It's my story and I'm sticking to it. Drawing our cheeky fun of Howling Abyss is probably pretty good in the mirror when we're both kind of controlling. I take this hit and just play Tavern Keeper, I think.
What will you have? Their guilt is evident.
Brittle Steel looking pretty reasonable here. We'll get to play Ashe to start next turn, and then we'll probably attack. And then they'll block with whichever one of these isn't frozen, and we'll Brittle Steel it.
Magic must be stopped
Before it spreads. I'll protect the villages.
get Ashe at some point regardless. We've got Babbling Berg to fish up another Ashe at some point. Like right now. Just play a dragon of our own. We're gonna lose our Mage Seeker to their dragon, I assume, here, but that's fine.
My call.
I think I'm gonna do this, and then kindly Tavern Keeper to heal this back up.
Everywhere I go, the light follows.
This'll take the chill off.
Them having a Lux here is pretty scary. We get to bank 3 mana and have Flash Freeze up here.
Faster than my arrow? I think not.
Arrows at the ready. Let's talk about your task.
Suppose if I skip block, these two guarantee just trade.
I've carved meat bigger than you.
I think I want to try and block the Ashe, though. They probably have a Flash Freeze.
The time is right. Strike now.
I kind of want to keep this from eating my Tavern Keeper here. Having the spell mana next turn is potentially valuable, though. I think I just press OK.
Unify the tribes.
Because this, we'll get to ice this, and then my dragon can eat their dragon.
All the world on one arrow.
A true Freljordian welcome.
No, you cannot pull creates in hand a random level 2 champion that's not in your hand, deck, or in play.
But tall as a mountain and covered in ice.
Full effect. Thank you for the 17 months of Prime. I really appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me
Faster than
around.
my arrow? I think not.
Their Ashe is getting ready to level here, which isn't too big of a deal. I've got these to make sure we don't die in combat to them. Easy, like his name.
The time is right. Strike now. I'll lead us to victory.
Better! Brighter than before! By the light!
This is, people have been asking about Vlad decks. This is objectively the best Vlad deck.
Time for a true
For people that are wondering.
What will you have?
between me and glory.
This is the best Ezreal deck? Probably not. If you don't open, they'll Frostbite Ezreal. I mean, most of their Frostbite Ezreal, even if I open. Oh, they guaranteed have Arrow. That's fine, though. I have Lulu, right?
Here I am, wherever here is.
Lulu plus Vlad is technically lethal. Right? It's close to it. Not quite lethal. So if I play Vlad, he'll drain 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, and then I get a Mystic Shot.
Hello, my darling.
That's fine. This is we still have lethal. We don't need any of those. They needed to wait. Oh no! Oh, they get to kill Ezreal. Oh, damn.
A beacon through the dark.
Rats. Ezreal would not have died from the drain because we would have supported him with Lulu. Man, needed to dodge the harsh winds there. Yeah, we got our Howling Abyss, but the opponent got their Lux way before we did. They're just able to take over the mirror with that. And we're just dead to open attacks. We're dead.
Oh, maybe I should open my eyes.
We're dead to open attacks, chat. You could technically top deck a Harsh Wind, sure, maybe. They had 5 attackers. Yeah, I guess I can triple chump if we draw Harsh Winds. This is probably terrible for us. Not surprised there was someone in here playing a beer. Good game, Jace.
They're out there.
Yeah, I commented when we started that like I hadn't played against this deck in a long time, and then like we queued up with it for the first time in a long time and immediately hit a mirror. This is a Mistwraith deck, right? No, I don't think so. I think they're like a Harrowing control deck usually. Hitting the Scout's pretty good here. We are definitely the beatdown against an Anivia control deck. So this gets to attack twice, which is lovely.
Welcome to the tipsy hour. Look out for Reavers. Light the signal fires.
So, this was a 6-mana spell on turn 3, so I get to deploy double Mage Seeker Persuader here as 4/3s, which is great.
Mages can't hide from me. Nothing escapes my watch.
To be completely fair, Quaddle, neither of those archetypes are very established. Yeah, I have a one of. It wasn't enough to beat Lux in the mirror though, unfortunately. I think it's good. Like Howling Abyss, for example, would be really good against a control deck like this.
Hold.
My god, you can't outrun justice.
How many hits do you need to play Berg? 3. Ashe. In fact, the fewer hits you have for Berg, the better it tends to beat. Because it gives you more control over what your Berg is pulling. So, like, for example, in this deck, we know Berg is always drawing us a champion. And if Lux isn't leveled, it's always getting us, I think we do this before they can attack us.
Tomorrow we rise anew.
Warm hearts and hot soup.
The problem here is, if they have, like, a Rekindler, we're gonna be in trouble. We'll open on our Scarred attack here. Okay, so they have Ruination.
We can do this. Let's brighten up their day.
This is what has to happen. We are definitely the beatdown in this matchup, and that's our best draw. Actually just best draw possible. The question is, if they ruin it again, do I go Dragon Rhymefang or do I just slam Howling Abyss? It's probably Dragon Rhymefang open. We'll see what we generate from that. It's Dragon Rhymefang open. Just try and kill them if they're a little unfortunate. It does not. Fenris, that's the literally just had that interaction happen on stream. Whatever the cost is that you pay for it is what it counts for Lux as. Like double Vile Feast here. Sure.
Leave your bags in the door.
The opponent's archetype, I don't believe, plays Field Rush. They're usually a Harrowing deck, dude late.
The Freljord's eternal guardian!
So this is gonna hit everything for 2 when it attacks.
For justice, for Demacia.
No place for the kind anymore.
Raise the banner, lift our spirits. We stand strong.
Never lucky.
This
Sometimes
is our time.
lucky. Do we start here or do we want a Lux? I think we might want a Lux, huh? What's going on, Dougie? Thank you for the 29 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. They've already played 2 Ruination, so I don't think we're playing around another one of those.
Justice waits for no one. Stay safe out there.
I was gonna tell you that. Illuminate the enemy!
Let's talk about your dad.
Are we leveling Lux? I don't think so. I think I want to flash freeze this to keep this alive. I don't think leveling Lux is necessary. If Garen lives, if Garen lives here, we get to attack next turn if they don't have a 3rd Ruination or a Vengeance.
Return to us.
They're gonna have pretty good open attacks now, though, is the problem. Azadaran, thank you for the 6 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. We might punk them out with this buy plus the final spark.
Snow, wind, and ice.
I stand ready. Do not waver.
So I get to go flash freeze, and this levels Lux.
Hiding my life too long!
And gives me a final spark. And then I can play these 2 and attack, and then her deal 5 will put them to 2 and make an egg for us, and then we can final spark the egg. So, like, they definitely have combinations of cards that make this not good for us, but...
Behold my true form.
Let's do this first to see if we get them to flinch. I get to attack this turn. I have an attack token from Garen.
Here comes the punchline.
The problem here is they have 5 cards in hand.
Hot shit, trouble coming at ya.
The problem is a Harsh Winds destroys us here. Because if we get Harsh Winds, this doesn't get to strike and kill this and make an egg and deal 5. Vengeance also beats us, so... Like I said when this match started, this matchup seems real bad for us. Our deck is looking to prey upon things like Scouts. We're just not seeing any of those matchups here today, unfortunately. Our deck is very reasonable against the aggressive decks in the format, and we're just playing against all of the control decks here. I don't think we're 0% in these games. Like, obviously, like, this game, there's been a couple of... We've had, like, 2 or 3 turns where, like, okay, we need them to not have this combination of things and we kill them. And they've had those things, which they can break your way, but you're definitely not ahead in them. ARAM. ARAM could maybe drag us kicking and screaming across the finish line here. Vi does not trigger with single combat. I'm pretty sure she does. She says if I strike something while attacking. The problem was that, so that could have played around Vengeance, but it wouldn't have played around Frostbite, right? Yeah, I also only had 1 mana, so I couldn't single combat. I could have not played the Shyvana.
Do not test me.
You own what you take.
People in chat seem to be saying that it doesn't work, but I'm pretty sure the way it's worded, it does. It says, when I strike an enemy while attacking.
I protect this place. I will be reborn.
I mean, that's what their deck is, chat. Their deck is just a bunch of interaction.
From the skies.
They're close there for a little bit. It's a add some draws in a matchup that's tough. Howling Abyss almost able to pull us through there if a couple of other things that broke our way. Perhaps I could have sequenced around the Vengeance on the... I could have not played the Shyvana to play around Vengeance there. Had I chose to not play, I chose to play around a Flash Freeze, and instead we got Vengeance. So like, it's hard to say exactly which one we're supposed to do there. Maybe their archetype is a bit of a brew, so I'm not sure if they're more likely to be playing Vengeance than Flash Freeze, for example. It's one of the advantages to playing stuff that's off meta. Your opponent doesn't necessarily know what things they're supposed to be playing around. I mean, like, you can't control what your opponent has, right? Like, you'll drive yourself mad, you just, like, won't get better at the card game if you sit there and constantly worry about the cards that your opponent has.
The winter's claw.
You have to focus on the things that you did and the things you could have done differently.
My cause is righteous.
I don't really want to trade this for a Troll Chant, I don't think.
Remember the objectives. The few for the many.
This land is ours.
Morning, Lillipad. They are playing Darius Trundle. Aggressively slanted deck. I think I want to just play Babblingberg here.
These biggest tombstones.
I have my orders. Explosives primed.
Yeah, I just said the opponent's deck. Darius Trundle.
Shake 'em. Behind ya.
Insolent cur.
We're certainly not playing Darius Trundle in our Demacia Freljord deck. Yeah, I think I agree with you, Quaddle. The most exceptional thing about their hand that game was the fact that they had 2 Ruinations back-to-back early when they needed it. If we had perhaps been able to fade the second one of those to start.
Damn it!
Rough. I was hoping we might squeak into Diamond with this one, but that's looking pretty unlikely at this point. Been a rough set all around. This matchup's not too bad. Just got a mulligan for an aggressive start here. Or definitely the beatdown here. Attacking on evens kind of sucks. I want a Remembrance on 3. I mean, we can beat anything. I realize, and again, like, that's why you shouldn't focus on your exact record. You'll go insane with card games that have a lot of variance. Yeah, I think on average, our deck is pretty reasonable against aggressive decks like what we just played against, but, like, reasonable doesn't mean you're anywhere near 100%. And, like, the appeal to playing an aggressive deck like that previous opponent was playing is sometimes you just flood the board like that and run down people, even ones that do have decks that are built to have decent matchups against you. That's just how card games work. We have a reasonably aggressive start here. Get to attack for 9 here on turn 4, potentially 12, depending on what they play out. Although this is pretty unlikely to live. They often play things like Vile Feast.
Get the trash! Eat the trash!
Locked and ready.
We'll probably Rhymetusk Shaman on their next turn so we can untap into Ashe and get a decent attack in.
Danger pay. You have no alibi.
Guess we just do that. What's going on, Rich? There are many creators who are up in arms regarding having music on their streams. You think many of them can take lessons from you, your interaction with viewers, commentary on games and play, and how you think out loud fills the stream wonderfully. Thanks for being here, Rich. Good afternoon to you. To be fair, there's a lot of valid criticism surrounding DCMA as well. While there are a number of bad faith actors who are intentionally stealing other people's content that are exactly the ones DCMA laws are written for, there are also a variety of people who are getting hit with bad faith claims.
Bring me the calm of an ice-shrouded world.
It's important to acknowledge that both of those things exist. Worth noting here that the opponent potentially has Ruination mana next turn, so I probably want to start by opening on attacks if they don't spend more mana here. They have spent mana, so now I no longer need to open on attacks. Dr. Mr. Punny, good morning to you.
Sends chills up my spine.
I mean, so I'd actually like to talk about that, Look No Numbers. Twitch suggesting people just mute the in-game sounds. That I think is a largely unfair criticism levied directly at Twitch. That, in my opinion, is on the video game creators just as much as it should be on Twitch to make sure things like that go smoothly. Like, people streaming these companies' video games is good for those companies, and they should be more proactive in helping their streamers understand what content is and isn't okay to be streaming from their games. Like, for example, I did a sponsored segment for a game called Pacer recently, and in their game, they literally give you a list of songs that you need to disable in the settings that you will get flagged for having on your stream because they don't have the rights to redistribute those. So there's definitely like it's a very convoluted situation, and as often happens on the internet, people are trying to be very reductionist in blaming one individual party instead of saying, hey, this should be something that lots of people should be working on together. So Twitch should definitely have been doing more, but at the same time, creators could be doing more, and the video game companies also could really stand to be doing more. I think I'm going to Tavern Keeper this so it doesn't die here. That's okay, so I'm just gonna time you out for misinformation. The misinformation here is that YouTube and Twitch just take your content down. YouTube actually has an incredibly number of very good tools that let their creators deal with DCMA strikes. And one of the failings that's definitely on Twitch in all of this is that Twitch specifically has failed to develop similar tools to give their creators finer control over what's going on their streams with regards to DCMA.
The time is right. Strike now.
YouTube, on the other hand, if I upload a piece of content to YouTube that has a song in it that I don't have the rights to, YouTube gives me the ability to have that content on my channel and just give the rights owner of that song monetization from the content that has their stuff in it.
Their guilt is evident.
YouTube is actually very well done in this way. So this freezes these two. Let me play Babbling Bird, which will draw us a flash freeze, and then I can Crystal Arrow and flash freeze here. If they have Ruination, I'm kind of sad, but if they Ruinate, I can go Ashe into Remembrance and crack them, which is pretty good.
Give them grow tall, grow strong.
So, like, for example, to show you responsibility on the creator side, I'm going to be streaming the new Miles Morales Spider-Man game either tonight or tomorrow when my PlayStation 5 gets here, and I'm going to turn off the in-game music because I did some research and discovered that that game has copyrighted music in it. So I'm going to turn off the in-game music so I don't get a strike for that. Oh, that's the card we couldn't beat. So we were going to be okay here because Ashe was going to make our stuff unblockable, but now that's no longer the case, right? So I can attack down some of their board here with my challengers. It's like I can kill this. I can kill this. I can attack with these. And then on the back of Rhyme Tusk, we might not be dead next turn. I don't understand how the rights to use a song in a game don't apply to a streamer playing the game. So here's why. It's the same reason why you buying a CD or an MP3 download doesn't give you permission to start a radio station and stream that song as a radio station. The rights to broadcast content like that to other people have always been licensed separately, and it's much, much more expensive than licensing it for individual use. That's basically always been the case.
Stare at the abyss. It'll stare back.
It'll stare back. That's actually not true, and I'm going to time you out for misinformation. Silence UK here spreading a bad piece of FUD that an idiot at Google had also spread, which is technically when you're streaming a game, you're violating the copyright for that game, but they let you do it anyways. Most modern video games, all modern video games at this point, explicitly include language in their EULAs that you probably click through and have never read that give you permission to make content with their games. You know, sometimes I feel like I'm the only goddamn streamer on this platform that's, like, read the legal details of what's required to do this as a job. It really feels like I'm alone in that sometimes, chat. Like, it is wild to me how many people make piles of money on this site, or even any amount of money, and, like, just have no idea what their job actually entails on the back end. Yeah, I think we save Rhyme Tusk here. Literacy is broken. I mean, for the record, just like, I'm not upset. I'm just disappointed, chat. That's unfortunate. That's true. I would believe that there are EULAs, especially ones written by smaller companies, that don't put a lot of thought into it. Yeah, I think we're gonna die here. We needed to fade the Riptide the turn they had Riptide. We unfortunately did not. Yeah. It's been a rough set for Lux Ashe. Let's see if we can. Got another half hour or so, see if we can get on the scoreboard. It's funny, so when you're a Twitch partner of a certain size, you get what's assigned a partner rep with Twitch. So I like have a direct contact if I ever have a question or need to ask about something regarding Twitch stuff. And I remember having a conversation, we were talking about backgrounds, and like people are familiar with my background. Like I worked as a system analyst for a couple of years after I finished my graduate degree. I have a graduate degree in mathematics. I've done some software development stuff in the background, contributed to a number of open source projects. And I remember a comment from them saying, "Oh, so you're like a real adult then?" I was like, yeah, this is... We've got some options in the world. We're not just someone that turned on a webcam and was okay at a video game. Kench Soraka, eh? Rhyme Tusk plus Challenger seems good. Tavern Keeper, Mulligans. If I'm not a real adult, at the very least I play a good one on television.
I'm still good to scrub.
Nah, I think the best chance to win that game, Lampton, was, killing them with Ashe the following turn. I think my play was correct. Being a Twitch partner rep sounds a lot like being a preschool teacher. It's funny because it's true. How do you feel about Rhine Fang here? It could also just be this to get, let's get pressure going with this. If we can hit a big challenger, like we hit the Dargon here, it's real good. It depends on how much you interact with chat, Lampton. I have often said that if you're someone who's very interactive with your chat, Twitch streaming is a lot like being a parent. You have to speak slowly and repeat yourself frequently.
A win streak.
What was that advice? Can you say it again?
It's a big responsibility to shepherd stars.
Alright, what are we doing here? I think I'm just Innkeeper, heal you up, hoping to dodge their landmark here, so they can't grow this up.
We're all family here.
Digging for the landmark here, perhaps. We'll let them crank this up to 6 attack. I don't have the Lulu on this loadout. Speaking of children, backed my chair up and hit a giant stuffed animal behind me. Both See, giant giraffe and giant elephant on the floor of my office. I mean, the long and short of it is that most people, I'm gonna say all people who are able to stream as a full-time job, myself included, are able to do so because we're very lucky individuals. That's not to say that being fortunate is divorced of also working hard. It's just the reality that you only get to have this as a job if a lot of fortunate things break your way. Dachata! Thank you for the 13 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. That +4 life there means that they are not able to deploy Kench this turn, which seems good for us. I'm gonna go ahead and get Rhymetusk down. Getting her just up. Like, there's nothing we really love frostbiting here, but just getting her frostbites going means when we eventually draw an Ashe and we have Berg here, that Ashe will be more deadly.
Calm of an ice-shrouded world.
Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Yeah, that's a good quote. Very, very accurate. Because I work very hard here doing this as my job, but definitely, like I said, fortunate to have had the start that I have.
faster than my arrow? I think not.
I'm pretty sure we're the beatdown in this matchup, Seasoned Pyromancer. They're basically a glorified prison deck. I disagree with that assertion. Luck is what happens when my opponent wins. Skill is what happens when I win.
Look after our own.
How's Remembrance been? Remembrance is great.
The time is right. Strike now.
Remember the 13th of November. Remembrance triggers your Mage Seeker Persuaders. It levels up Lux. Very flexible.
Ice runs in our veins.
So this is 11-17. Do I just try and kill them here? I think I just try and kill them here, right? 11-17. They could have Guiding Touch. Play the wolf out to start, see what they do. Because I can Ice Veil plus single combat here still. They do not play the gain 5. They play the gain 2 though.
Not and ready.
They don't play Star Shaping. Usually. Asterisk, obviously they could. The established builds of Soraka Kench do not, though.
We're all family here.
Pale Cascade. I was like, what did they do to give that power? This is medium against a second Pale Cascade, but otherwise is very good for us. They could have Bastion here as well, but that's not too big of a deal because I'm still going to have decent attacks.
The arrow flies.
So Ashe is going to Frostbite this. And then I think I pull these two. And then we put them to 2. This seems good for us. I don't think I want to pull this here. Because if they heal something, it gains attack again and then it eats this. And I just want to get rid of their blockers. And at 4 mana, they need to heal 2 things for this to kill Ashe.
Avarosa, guide me.
And with Harsh Winds and Shaman here, we're pretty unlikely to die on their next turn. They could have Pale Cascade plus a heal. This Babbling Berg, remember, is another copy of Ashe for next turn, though, even if they killed her, which they did not.
Sends chills up my spine.
Goodbye, friend. We also have a Crystal Arrow here, which is lovely.
I must must inspire where once I shepherded.
Right, that's my job. Shepherding, I mean.
I will find the goodness in you, River King.
Hope only provides temporary sustenance, child.
Stars, hear me.
Yeah, Berg always finding Ashe is very, very good.
Oh,
Big agree. The voice interaction was Soraka and Kench. Hut. Go to 13. Open attacks and kill you.
The frost reveals all to me.
Let us peruse.
Not quite open attacks, but close enough. Oh, I suppose we could get hushed here. Even if they hush Ashe, they're still dead, right? They need to hush Ashe plus have other stuff.
Swiftly now.
I think I forced this block here, so that way if they hush Ashe, this is dead. So if they hush Ashe, they can block, but then they go like block, block, and take 9 still. So I think this is the play. So hushes burst and can wipe the 0 power enemies can't block here. Guiding Touch does not give this attack, and they're dead. Sweet. Good stuff. See, we knew we were found. I just gotta stick with the chat.
The war is over.
And a bit of a rough start, but good, really solid game there. See if we can get 1 or 2 more good ones in before we shift over to some Texas Hold'em. Rom and Nivea. These bigger control decks are tough matchups for us, for sure. I'm gonna mulligan the Brittle Steel. Mulligan the Ashe, too. I'd really like a Remembrance on 3 to go Remembrance into Persuader. The World Series of Poker app is technically not actual gambling. It is playing poker, but it's playing poker with fun money.
Must get out of here.
Mages can't hide from
So you can buy large amounts of chips for small amounts of money, but it's not an application that you can cash out of. Believe it or not, I also try to not advertise things that are illegal on my stream. Rude. I actually just gonna concede. We've gotten beat up so many times today. I'm gonna try and find a game that's more winnable than this. Pretty unfortunate. Some rough matchup variants in this set so far. Like, haven't played against any Nivea decks. They queue into a couple. Sweet. Let's play against some aggro. Easy mulligans here. I think I keep Remembrance and Mage Seeker. To my knowledge, no. That's said by end of day app then.
Anything else? Anything else?
Pass for now. We'll see what they add to the board here. I think I just take 6 on their open next turn and play Remembrance. And then try and stabilize from there. Stabilizing at 11. We're probably going to take at least 1 more chip shot. Can be tough, though. Really wish we would have been attacking on, we would have been attacking on odds this game. Why did I choose PlayStation instead of the X Series? Because I would like to play Spider-Man. This Vision card seems pretty good, chat. There might be something to this Vision card my opponent is playing.
Mages can't hide from me.
Are there any Xbox exclusive games, by the way? There aren't, right? Like, I'm confused why I would want to buy an Xbox when everything on the Xbox I could just play on PC, right?
Winter take you. Stand in judgment. You have no alibi.
This makes Dargon big enough to single combat here, which is nice. Yeah, like I don't have a 3000 series graphics card, but like I've got a 2080 Super in my PC. If they don't open attacks, I get to play Ice Veil Archer to, snack on this.
A chill in the air.
Yeah, I'm not talking about titles that aren't coming to PlayStation right away. I'm talking about titles that aren't on PC. We're actually stabilizing okay here until they kill us with the Jinx Rocket. The Jinx bug has not been fixed.
Axes coming right up.
What's the bug? She makes multiple rockets per turn. It's real awk.
Not seeing strength.
They have another vision?
If I fall, so be it. My life for Avarosa. If it's a fight they want. What are you hiding?
You're like, okay, board exchanges for us here. Like I said, Sand's getting burned out. We're in an okay spot. Oh! That's why our opponent earlier that was being obnoxious with it kept moving her back and forth. So it's a bug with when you move her to the bench and back. That's weird. Okay, I didn't realize you had to jitter her back and forth to abuse it.
Time for the money making.
So This doesn't actually kill my dragon, because this gives my dragon an extra toughness. Because Jinx gets to generate rockets the turn they play her, I think if it was under the old Jinx, I would just pass here and burn their mana and end their turn. But because they could play Jinx, empty their hand, and make it a rocket next turn anyways, I think I just attack here and get this off the table. I guess if they have another Draven, this attack's not great. It does put 7 points of damage on them, though, which is nice. If they have Draven, they get to open attacks, and I have to chump block now, though.
Jinx stands for Jinx. Durr.
So if they have, like, a rummage, we could die this turn.
What's the worst that could happen? Immerse yourself in the thunder.
I'm on a roll.
Yikes. Almost stabilized them attacking for 16 on turn 3, but not quite here. I suppose this could find Radiant Guardian.
Who's a good hunk of junk?
The Jinx buff is a really meaningful buff to the discard aggro deck. Makes them really strong. So Johnny Gangplank, you say? I'm gonna mulligan these two, looking for a Remembrance to pair with this. I think I keep Tavern Keeper. This archetype tends to be more aggressive, so that effect could be useful. It is definitely a strict buff. Jinx is now strictly better than she was prior. Perfect, just like we drew it up. The Jinx changes the definition of a strict buff. You're right that it's also a continuity thing, but it being a continuity thing doesn't change the fact that it's also a strict buff. Yeah, Jin, not only did they make a ton of really reasonable balance changes, but they also gave us,
Don't know much, do you?
they also gave us a bunch of really sweet data. Yeah, I think in general, Hat Crab, the consistency change was good. I think making Lucian and Jinx's wording consistent with Sajani is a net positive for the game overall. Yes, yeah, I completely agree with that logic, Logan. Them being linguistically consistent is a good thing. Yeah, I'm also not entirely convinced that discard aggro is too good for the format. Like, obviously, it's good draws beat people up, but there's a good chance that, like, the Ezreal Vile Feast decks are still very reasonable against discard aggro. So I need to see what those matchups look like overall to see if they're balancing out its overall win percentage.
Got a surprise for him.
I'm just gonna go ahead and Tavern Keeper here.
Safety will cost you.
I mean, all decks lose games sometime, Fellerson. You have to remember, in a card game like this, a metric that's considered potentially worrying is like a 50, 55, 56% win rate. Like, even an absurd, like, 60, 65% where you're still losing 1 in 3 or 2 in 5.
Ever consider a henching career?
Do I Brittle Steel this? I think I do. That's a good timeout from Dr. Mister there. Let's not compare the topic of suicide to things that capitalistic companies could or couldn't do. At least not in my spaces. Oh, by the way, it's Friday. I didn't tweet out my schedule for next week, but I've got it mostly updated on my calendar. I'm going to be live. I am taking tomorrow morning off, Saturday morning, but I'm going to be live Saturday or Sunday morning this week. We're gonna do some extra gauntlets. How do you feel about Ashe plus Mage Seeker here? I think I'm into it.
Mages can't hide from me.
And then she can attack Frostbite this, and we can hook it and kill it. She's gonna get to Frostbite this, but that's fine if that's down for a turn.
Unite the Freljord.
The frost reveals all to me.
And then if there's good feedback on the best of 3 gauntlets in terms of the content they make, we'll probably do some weekend streams next weekend too, to do them again. I really liked best of 1 pick ban, so I'm excited to see what best of 3 pick ban feels like. I have 2 viewer-submitted lineups that we're going to be playing that are listed in the deck queue. I need to figure out what 3 decks I want to play of my choosing.
But my rules.
I think we do this and then bank spell mana this turn.
There's no such thing as
They try and kill this, we'll single combat these 2.
You wanted rough.
You want it rough.
Ready, ready? Not yet! Go to go!
So I have 11 mana total here. I think I'm probably flash freezing and single combating this turn. I'm gonna go ahead and start with Rhyme Fang Wolf and see where we go from there. I could Rhyme Fang, Remembrance, flash freeze, and single combat, which is great. Yeah, the interface for the poker site's super clean. I spent some time playing it last night to get familiar with it. Just go ahead and end the round here. I think I do Mage Seeker first, into Ashe, into Flash Freeze attack.
Their guilt is evident.
They could have a leveled Sajani or Gangplank here, is the worry about developing before we attack, but I also think I want to go wider to try and get this game over with ASAP.
Take you.
My Ice Veil Archer, rude.
Faster than my arrow?
I think not. So Ashe is unfortunately 3 away from leveling, so can't level her up this turn. We can clean out a lot of their board here at least.
I was forged by winter. Bow to no one.
Okay, so
The time is right. Strike now.
Stand in judgment.
Avarosans, stand together.
You can't outrun justice.
what if we do this? Think I like it.
Just run while
They have a warning shot, we get blown out. They do not.
Well fought.
They have a lot of cards in hand still, though. If they have like a Gangplank here, we could be in trouble.
Ready for deployment.
They had 1 mana, and they could have had a parlay.
Keep up, keep up.
So if they would have had a parlay there, they could have parlayed this. Save the dragon because it grows instead of the 4/3. That's probably a good observation. Parlay is slow though, sure, but if I played the 2/2, they'd get priority to play it, which is why I didn't play the 2/2 pre-combat.
Winter is the Freljord's true ruler.
This is probably wrong. I'm probably supposed to play this in case they have Gangplank. Because if they play Gangplank, I'd want to 4 Demacia defensively.
Gotta go with the flow.
Alright, no Gangplank, but they're hitting us for 4 this turn. That's elusive.
Through the coral.
How do I feel about overwriting this with this so I have a 4 Demacia next turn? I think I'm kind of into it. Alternatively, I could overwrite this one because it only has 1 toughness. Of course, it's also going to get bigger from the 4 Demacia.
Discipline and steel.
They drew a couple of cards here, so they could easily have that parlay that I was talking about a second ago to kill Ashe or my wolf here. So overrating could be wrong. Yeah. Not confident with that overrate play there. It's possible I should have passed back because the odds of them having parlay were high.
Ice runs in our veins.
They just drew 2 cards off of our deck, so like Harsh Winds is a possibility we have to play around now too. I don't think I've drawn any of those. This game I don't recall.
Soldiers, me.
Alright, fair. Playing it out's kind of a wash, right? It just makes them use their mana. I think that's fine.
Courage, soldier.
Yeah, it means they have to pick between Harsh Winds or 4 Demacia. And like, I still get a decent hit in here, right? Because like, I have 4 challengers, and they're only gonna have 4 blockers. I have 6 attackers with 4 challengers, and they have 4 blockers. So we get to challenge all of their things. Afternoon Niv.
Knocked and ready.
Shatter them!
You have no alibi.
You have no alibi. If they drew Harsh Winds off our deck here, they kill us next turn with elusives. They Harsh Winds these. And then they 4 Demacia, attack for 10. Oh, they did play 2 of my cards, you're right. This and this, right? Very likely. It actually doesn't tell us, right? This is very likely ours, though.
The frost reveals all to me.
Alright. Well, I mean, if we live through the turn, that's not bad. Really sweating Gangplank and Sajani here. Both their champions are very good.
You will not prevail.
There'll be blood in the water.
Well, they killed our Rhyme Tusk, which is sad.
the flames from the depths can claim me.
All right. I mean, they have 4 Demacia here, right?
Carved from the savage cold.
Wow, did they really just not 4 Demacia me? Yeah, if we attack, Sajani ices our board.
Break their legs. You dare slack on my
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have to attack anyways.
line them up.
I can't hook Monkey last. Gangplank's trigger. What a silly game this has been.
All hands on deck!
That's terrifying.
Will no one listen?
That's not the level Tryndamere I wanted for Christmas. That's a card I wanted for Christmas, though. All I want for Christmas is you. No! Gangplank!
I'll make corpses of them all.
Am I technically dead? We're technically not dead, right? We're only mostly dead.
I'll lead us to victory.
All the world on one arrow.
All right, Ashe plus Zed. Let's go.
Their entrails.
Ride onward.
Let's go. We can do it, chat.
Make them go boom!
I believe in us. Ashe plus Zed.
Hit them all.
So our friends are all getting frostbitten by this. Those are all dying except for Ashe anyways. So these are the freest of blocks.
They're coming! Hide!
What a just absolutely crazy game.
Without a sound.
Oh no! Not the monkey idol, chat! It made a keg! It made a keg! Wait, does that let us? We're so close. I feel like we've got to be close here, right? We just assume that this does nothing. So right now, we make this not block, and then they have 3 blockers to 3 attackers. So I think the play is Fiora, see what they do.
By my honor, you must die.
Chat, they have 4 Demacia, chat. Chat, they have 4 Demacia. That's what this face-up card is here. The one thing the Runeterra interface could do better is showing you visually, like, what these cards are.
Show me a target.
So now we have lethal if they have nothing, right? and we're definitely in the business of making them have it.
Go as one.
You picked the losing side! No cracks. Lunch!
Leave no survivors.
Ever gone flying?
Yeah, I should definitely just attack and make this card stop me from having lethal. People saying, why don't you Crystal Arrow? 4 Demacia undoes it. It gives them 3/3. What a just absolutely insane game. Pour one. Let's pour one out. Let's pour one out for Howling Abyss, huh? That was super wild. This deck's fine. We won a couple of games. We lost a couple of close games. We got ran over in a couple of games. That just happens sometimes. I think this deck is fun. I think it's a neat take on control. I think I was pretty happy with the one copy of Howling Abyss in that set, but I don't think I want to draw multiple of these, so I don't think I'd go up to a second. In the games where Howling Abyss is really good, you tend to have time to draw it because the games go long. So the one thing that really stood out to me is that Vanguard Sergeant felt like it was worth its slot. Really kind of saw in that last game the flexibility that having that 4 Demacia offered us, and the one turn we had a really big attack with it. Just normally not a card that you would really think to include in a control deck. It looks like a more aggressively slanted card, but just the fact that this card synergizes with Lux really puts it up over the top for us, I think. So, all right, we are going to go ahead and shift gears here. We're going to play some Texas Hold'em on the World Series of Poker app for the next couple of hours on stream as a sponsored segment. What is the Twitch category? Okay, I'm gonna assume this is the right category.